The late afternoon sun hung low over the cracked pavement of Easton Street as 16-year-old Malik Jones walked home from basketball practice, a duffel bag slung over his shoulder. Sweat still clung to his brow, and his mind was fixed on little else but getting home, taking a shower, and finishing his homework before his mom came back from her late shift at the base. He was a good kid, honor roll, quiet, respectful. But in this neighborhood, that didn't always count for much, especially when you were young, black, and walking alone. A patrol car crawled up beside him, its engine rumbling like a warning. Malik tried to ignore it, eyes fixed straight ahead. The car slowed even more, and a voice barked through the open window. "Hey! Stop right there!" Malik froze. Two white officers stepped out, one tall with mirrored sunglasses, the other short with a heavy gut. They looked him up and down like they'd already decided who he was. "Where you headed, kid?" the tall one asked. "Home," Malik said, voice even. "Just came from practice. Mind if we check your bag?" Malik hesitated. He'd done nothing wrong, but he'd heard enough stories to know how quickly things could go wrong. "Do I have to?" The short one smirked. "Only if you've got something to hide." Before he could respond, they grabbed the bag and unzipped it. Sneakers, a towel, a water bottle, and then suddenly, the tall one reached inside and pulled out a small plastic bag of white powder. Malik's mouth dropped open. What is that?" "That's not mine," he stammered, panic surging through his chest. The officers exchanged a look, pretending to be surprised. "You're in big trouble, kid," the tall one said, shaking his head like a disappointed teacher. "Possession of narcotics, maybe intent to distribute." Malik's voice broke. "That's not mine! You just put that there!" The shorter cop stepped forward, his breath reeking of coffee and power. "You better watch your tone." "You think anybody's gonna believe you over two officers?" They cuffed him roughly, pushing his face against the hood of the cruiser. His duffel bag hit the ground, spilling its contents across the street. People watched from porches and windows, but no one said a word. The sound of the cuffs snapping shut echoed in Malik's ears like the end of his life. At the station, they booked him fast. No lawyer, no call, no chance to explain. He sat in the interrogation room for hours, staring at the one-way mirror, wondering if his mom even knew he was gone. Every minute that passed made the fear grow thicker in his chest. When the door finally opened, the same two officers came in. The tall one dropped a file on the table, the bag of white powder now sealed and labeled as evidence. "Here's how this goes," he said. "You admit it was yours, we'll make this easy. Maybe you walk in a few years, you fight it, and we'll make sure the DA throws the book at you." "I didn't do anything," Malik whispered. "You framed me." The short one leaned in close. "You calling us liars?" Malik met his gaze, tears burning in his eyes. "I'm calling you corrupt." A hard slap cracked across his face. The tall one didn't even flinch. "Careful, boy." Words like that can make things worse. Time dragged on. The fluorescent lights hummed above him, harsh and unrelenting. He thought about his mom, Colonel Denise Jones, who had served 20 years in the Army, decorated for leadership and courage. She'd always told him to stand tall, to never let anyone make him feel small. He could hear her voice now, steady and strong. "The truth will protect you, son, if you hold your ground." But sitting in that room, he wasn't sure the truth mattered anymore. An hour later, the door burst open again, but this time, it wasn't the cops. "Where is my son?" Her voice sliced through the air like a blade. Malik's heart leapt. His mother stood in the doorway, still in her olive green army uniform, medals glinting under the harsh light. The colonel's posture was perfect. Chin high, shoulders squared. She carried authority like a weapon. The two officers froze mid-sentence, their confidence draining away. "Ma'am," the tall one stammered, "this area is restricted." She stepped closer, her boots striking the floor with purpose. "Restricted? You've got my son handcuffed in a room without cause, and you think you're gonna lecture me about procedure?" The shorter cop swallowed hard. "He was caught with narcotics, ma'am." "Found them in his bag ourselves." Her eyes locked on Malik, then on the evidence bag sitting on the table. "Did you test it?" she demanded. Not yet, ma'am." "We were about to send it to the lab." She smirked coldly. "You were about to ruin a young man's life on something you haven't even confirmed." She stepped around them and lifted the bag. "You fools planted this, didn't you?" The tall officer turned pale. "Excuse me?" She set the bag down deliberately. "You think I don't know how these games work? You find a black kid walking home. You need your quota filled, so you find drugs. You expected his mother to be powerless, didn't you? Some woman who couldn't fight back." Neither of them spoke. Denise turned to the mirror on the wall. "I want your supervisor in here." Now, within minutes, the precinct captain arrived, clearly uneasy. He recognized her immediately. Colonel Denise Jones, a respected figure in the community and an officer who had trained military police in protocol and integrity. "Colonel Jones," he said carefully, "I assure you, we'll get to the bottom of this." "No," she cut in, voice hard as steel. "You'll do more than that. You'll review every second of body cam footage. You'll run those fingerprints. And when you find out what I already know, that these men framed my son, you'll make sure they never wear a badge again." The captain hesitated, but her stare left no room for argument. While the investigation unfolded, Malik sat beside his mother, her hand gripping his. For the first time that night, he felt safe. 2 days later, the results came back. The powder wasn't even real cocaine. It was crushed aspirin mixed with baking soda. The bag had fingerprints from both officers, none from Malik. The footage from the cruiser's dash cam sealed their fate. One officer had been seen slipping the bag into Malik's duffel when he was told to check it. The precinct scrambled to contain the fallout, but word spread fast. Local news picked up the story. Teen framed by cops, saved by his mother's courage. The community erupted in outrage. Protests formed outside the department demanding justice. The two officers were suspended, then arrested. Malik's record was wiped clean before it could even begin. Weeks later, Malik stood outside his house, staring at the horizon as the sun dipped below the rooftops. His mom joined him, her uniform traded for jeans and a sweatshirt. "You did good, son," she said quietly. "I didn't do anything," he murmured. "You saved me." She shook her head. "No, Malik. You stood your ground. You told the truth even when they tried to break you. That's strength. That's what I raised you to have." He smiled faintly, the weight of the last few days still heavy on his shoulders. "What happens to them now?" "Justice," she said simply. "It might be slow, but it comes." They stood there for a long moment, the quiet evening air wrapping around them. For Malik, the world still felt dangerous, but now he knew he wasn't powerless. He'd seen the worst of authority, but also the best of courage, and somewhere deep down, He understood what his mother had always meant when she said, "Real power isn't in the uniform. It's in what you do when the world tries to take your dignity away." That night, as he drifted off to sleep, he thought about the look on those officers' faces when his mother walked through the door. The way they froze, not because of her rank, but because they'd been caught by something far greater than fear. They'd been caught by truth. And truth, once revealed, doesn't let go.